Alright, so you know what you're here for. Let's talk about AEW Wrestledream. That by the time you're watching this, what happened 2.5 weeks ago. So I'm recording this ahead of time. I'll upload it as the time as you're watching. So AEW Wrestledream. Gotta get through most really quickly the most I can because oh boy, this was a long ass show. As is usual with these AEW pay per views. I mean they're very good and this show was no exception actually. It was pretty solid. It's just yeah, and the I think the biggest issue is that some of the matches here went on way longer than they need to be. And I will get to some here where I talk about them. So you had an interesting wrinkle at the very beginning in that. So the last pre-show match was FTR versus Jet Speed. And the match happened as it was on the pre-show, but then the match got started like long, and then the match got progressed longer and longer, and then by the time the show actually started, the match was still already in progress. And it's a funny visual that the guys were keep like punching each other, and there were fireworks, and the announcers was welcome the audience into the show, and it really does. I think what Tony Khan was going for was a WCW feel where sometimes you would get these Nitro shows. I think back in the day, and the wrestlers would usually be always in a match, and they would just keep going in one, and then there are pilot the announcers welcome the viewers to the show. That was exactly what he was trying to go for, and I would say it got laugh out of me a little bit while I watched it. So there is that, and so yeah, so and the match was kind of ended as it happened. So NTR beat the Jets beat. So I really can't go because I didn't really watch the first half as literally as the show kick off, the match was always in the process. So yeah, so that was that. I heard it was a good match. So there's that. So if you want to count this as the actual opener, then you might can like Jamie Hayter versus Terka was the first match, and this was a pretty good match. Like nothing substantial, just um, when apparently these two have been feeling able to culminate in blood and guts, literally in the next month. So yeah, so this was kind of continuing the build up to that, and yeah, I mean, Terka really had a good standout performance here, and Jamie Hader, Jamie Hader is still really good at what she does, and this was a pretty good match, I must say. And Jamie Hader won here. Next up is the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. Winner, and apparently the winner had was going to have the money, and oh, so yeah, so the winner was going to receive offer money. It was Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Jack, I guess you could say Jungle Jack Perry and Luchasaurus against Matt and Nick. In this case, you can call it the 202.17 bucks, which was so hilarious. I mean, the Jumbos like really has got right out of me with this broke bucks game, and like they were kind of one of them wanted to like kind of have them lose the match at all in, and they will no longer have that gimmick of EVPs, and now they're doing this, and yeah, like this was a really good match. Like you was usual like when it comes to those Young Bucks matches, and I will say it kind of like drag on a little bit. They needed to. I mean, I never once thought that Jurassic Express was in any danger of losing. I mean, this was pretty much designed that this was pretty much designed to reestablish them as a tag team in the tag division. So yeah, I never really thought the Bucks were in any danger of winning here. So yeah, so this kind of dragged on, but it was still really fun, really good match, a kick-ass match, and the crowd was eating up to it to all what these two were doing in the ring. All these four guys, and yeah, Jurassic Express won, and then Donka's family got involved after the match attacking Jurassic Express. And then Kenny Omega came in and had a little face to face with the Young Bucks, and he cleans out on the Donka's family, and there was that. Um, I think this, I mostly think that this broke Bucks gimmick they have is going to lead them. Is going to lead the Young Bucks becoming baby faces and reform the elite. That's what I pretty much say. That's what's going to happen eventually. So yeah, so that's what I think is going to happen. So there is that, and yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. So the next match, as I see here, is excuse me, the man versus the Hurt Syndicate in a tornado match, a trios tornado match. This was a good match, but I thought this was backwards. Like the street fight that they had on the Dynamite episode before this, that street fight should have been on this, and the tornado match should have been on the Dynamite episode. The way they placed those matches were completely weird and ass backwards here. Like I don't know what they were thinking with that, to be honest. So yeah, like I don't know what they were thinking here. So yeah, like so they had a match, and again it was pretty good. I don't think as good as the All Out match, nor the Street Fight match, but this was still fine. This is still decent. So yeah. So the Hurt Syndicate won here, and per the stipulation, they became number one contenders for the AEW World Series Championship against the Ops that will happen on the next Dynamite that happened. So yeah. Then we get for the TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher defending his championship against Mark Briscoe. And yeah, like these two, I always seem to get a kick in a really fun way where I see these two guys wrestle each other. Like they really seem to bring out the best in one another. And like because I think with Kyle, it's in the way when Briscoe, like Mark Briscoe, brings a much more serious side of Kyle Fletcher, making more a stiff competitor in a way. And like these two just seem to really care well in a way. And this was no obsession. Like this was still a really fun match. Like a really, really good match. It made it to a borderline great match. Like these two always seem to gel well together. And again with the issue, it dragged out a little longer than it needed to be. But the kick out, like I will say, got a rise out of the crowd, and they were getting behind Briscoe here, so there is that. But at least they didn't win overboard with the kickouts anyway. It wasn't like that. So Kyle Fletcher picked up the win to retain his TNT championship. So there's that. Next match we go on here is for the AEW Women's World Championship. Chris Statlander defending against Timeless Tony Storm. Now let me say one thing. This crowd sucked for this match. Like they were barely reacting to anything. Like 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 and like and I don't know like this had and I think this was one of the most strongest matches and it really kind of dragged out the match a bit even though the work that these two ladies did were pretty solid, so it was good, but like I was not really into that whole much. So yeah, and and like they, and it's like they did the right thing here. They had Chris Statlander beat Tony Storm to prove that she wasn't a full champion. So they had a match that helped at least establish Statlander as a credible champion here. So they did all the good traits with this match. It's a shame that I wasn't really feeling into this. And yeah, and then Mercedes Monet came out like right after this. So she was gonna have a TBS Championship Open Challenge here against and to any championship that to any champion that will really to defend their title, so she can claim her, Mercedes can take that title from her, that person, and that person turned out to be Mini Shirakawa against the Ring of Honor the Ring of Honor Inter Television Champion Mina. This, I don't know how the hell she was the Internet Champion when I saw this. Like when I say Inter Television Champion, I was like, huh? She's the Inter Champion? Wow. That's kind of how a little pay attention. I paid through ROH. It's like, wow, that's the first time seeing. Like this is the one match that didn't really need to be on this show. To be honest, I feel like this was just an excuse to get Mercedes 11 belts so she can take another title the next day, and she will have another title to her collection of 12 belts Monet. And it's like there was like no point. Like I feel like this match should have been on the Dynamite so Mercedes can claim the 12 belts thing. And like on this, I would have Mercedes just tell Statler to get her out of the ring, and then Statler immediately comes back and tasks what she had, task Mercedes. So instead was they have Mercedes tell Statler to leave, and then Statler obliges. Then she had her match, then she won, and then Statlander attacks her. They just over complicates too much where the simple thing was what I just laid out was having Mercedes come out, tell him Statlander to hit the brakes, and then she goes to the and then she attacks her. And that's how you set up Full Gear, which apparently is going to be Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné for the AEW Women's World Championship. And I get the fears that Mercedes is going to win, but I really don't think she's gonna. Like all this leads is a Statlander getting her win from the first two times she faced Mercedes Moné. I mean, literally previous year's Full Gear event, Mercedes literally beat Statlander. So I feel this is Statlander's match to take against Mercedes at Full Gear. So there's my thoughts on that. But the match, Mercedes versus Mina was kind of boring to be honest with you. Like that was the worst match of the show. Then we get to for me was the best match of the show for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Brodillo, Bandito, Brody King defended the belts against Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, who's now the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And yeah, like this was really great here. Like really great stuff for all these four competitors. They they all gel well in the ring, and I like the dynamic between Takeshita and Okada here. Like 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 they have a really nice build up story into. And I feel this has to lead to Takeshita leaving the Don Callis family behind and be the one that takes the unified title away from Okada. I feel that's the play to go here, and yeah, and yeah, the fans have already kind of taken to catch that here, so yeah, and the crowd was really behind here, and the crowd really popped for when they key station, and Rodillo, Bandito probably can't help their own, and this was pretty much great stuff here for all four here. And it led to Bandito pinning Okada to retain their titles. And this makes sense because literally that's Dynamite. They, they had Okada defending his unified title against Bandito here. So that finish here, so the time match here, the finish made sense because it led to something at least. So yeah, and this was a pretty great match. Pretty awesome stuff for all four guys here. So yeah. Then it's for the AEW World Championship. Him and Adam Page defense against Samoa Joe. This was the main event, which I kind of knew it won't be because this feud just literally started, and to me, it just felt so much like a failed defense to build up an even bigger match between both of them, which will play after this. So, yeah, and not as a big match. Not as a big match. With that being said, this was a pretty good match. So, pretty good match. Like Samoa Joe, while not being the most athletically, while not being in his athletic prime in the ring, like he still carries some presence about him that you really can't teach much these days, and and he still comes across as a badass here, and like this 29 story with like Hammond being like and having and Heyman having a tougher challenge that he has to overcome here in playing Samoa Joe. Like Samoa Joe was going for all the kill, and Heyman would just keep fighting back, and then he had to hit not one, not two, but three straight ball shot lariats to beat Samoa Joe here to retain his AEW World Championship. And then after the match, these two will like embrace one another. They look like they will embrace one another. And then boom, Samoa Joe turns heel with the ops in the ring, already in the ring, and they just beat the shit out of Heyman out of Page. And this will looks to be is going to build to the rematch between the two after again. And this pretty exactly what this feud needs to be like. Like, and I feel like with the main event CB really be so light on like credible heels, like they needed this turn with the odds badly, especially for a guy like Samoa Joe. Like, so Heyman Page will actually have a worthy title defense, title contender to go up against. I mean, so far he has faced MJF and Kyle Fletcher, and after that, there's not really that much credible main event heels that he can play off with. So turning Samoa Joe here was the right call here, and yeah, this desperately needed to be the face versus a heel situation, and it looks like it's going to. So again, pretty really good match with a necessary post match angle here. Then the main event is the I Quit match between Darby Allin against Shawn Mosley. And yeah, I feel this will be the main event because it's pretty much the most well played the most long term story of this whole show, and their segment have been pretty well known, like the go home segment that they did when they filmed some shot in like that's like somewhere in some location that they played with that segment was top notch production stuff for AEW here. Like that was tremendous. And their segment have been pretty good leading up to this. So this had enough fight that it kind of wanted to be the main event here. And yeah, this was everything you would hope to be. This was nuts. This was great. It had gritty. It had violence. all the sick and twisted things that they will do to one another, and they keep coming out more and more here. And yeah, like, and yeah, I think while they can tone down some of these matches here, it was kind of justified. It's been this whole story between Darby and Mox has been going on for a year, so they kind of had to amplify it a little bit. Even while it wasn't really that much extreme, they still did pretty sick stuff to one another. Like the nail spot that was gruesome, and some of the bumps that Darby took, when he was going for the win, and then the Death Riders was coming in, and Claudio just grabbed that man and like runs it and just shredded him right through the announcers that didn't break. The sound that it made was pure sickening thought. Like, I won't want to be the like and like this because holy fuck, that hurt like a motherfucker. I'm sure that hurt because man. And then the drowning spot they tried to kill Darby, which was kind of silly when I first watched it, but then it's John Moxley, so and it's a death match, so you kind of figured it was going to be silly. And Death right, and we just keep beating up on Darby. When out of nowhere, it's Sting. It's Sting with a big ass goatee. That looked pretty cool with a face being on. That looked pretty sick. And Sting was cleaning house on the Death Riders and gave the bat to Darby so Darby can hit on Moxley Mortal, and then Darby hits the Scorpion Deathlock, and Moxley said, "I quit." And that was the end. It's pretty apparent this was an abrupt ending. And I think that was because like the show was going longer as it was going so long as it was. They kind of just ended like kind of abruptly, which was pretty anticlimactic to end a match with something like this. I kind of got the story. Like without the Death Rider, John Moxley is a weak man. Like you kind of saw this at all anyway. He tapped out pretty much, almost trying to fight with everything he got, but pretty tapped out, pretty roundly to Heyman at the page at all end. And then you got here with the Scorpio Deadlock by Darby to end the match. So at least there's that. So yeah. So Darby Allin wins here. And apparently this is gonna go to Blood and Guts here. Which I think it had when they go to Blood and Guts, I think that has to be the end of the whole arc of Moxley as the Death Rider story. I think that pretty much has to be because it's pretty much nowhere to go from here from this. Like when you look at this match and how it ended with Darby putting the AEW flag on, that pretty seems to be a definitive end to this story. So yeah, but they're similarly continue with Bloody Guts, which I get it. I just hope when they go to that, it officially ends the arc of John Moxley and the Death Rise story. So there's that. So a pretty gruesome, really exciting match, a really entertaining match for what I saw here. To close a pretty solid AEW show, right? With these pay per views, like They are pretty delivered the goods with. I think this year with their pay per views, and then I think they have delivered the goods with their shows, with their pay per views. So, yeah, but again, it's a marathon show, and there are some matches here that one match that didn't need to be, and some matches just drag out a little longer than they needed to, which made the show even longer. So, yeah, pretty much my whole thoughts on Wrestledream. So, like this video if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell me what you thought about Wrestledream in the comment section below. And as always, I'm Jason Maenius, and I approve this message.